Okay, so what if I told you that there's a thinker out there who believes the key to a better life and maybe even a better society is to boast? It sounds pretty wild, I know. But today, we're diving into the Manifesto for Self-Praise from a writer named Xu Feng and his really radical argument against humility. And it all kicks off with this incredibly blunt statement. I mean, most of us are taught to be humble, right? To let our actions do the talking. But Shuifeng just comes out and says, nope, forget that. I'm taking matters into my own hands. And that's really the big question we're digging into. This isn't just about some guy being arrogant. As we're going to see from his writings, there's a deep and, kind of eccentric philosophy behind this whole decision. All right, so to really get this, we need to break down the core ideas that make up his manifesto. This is where he lays out the real building blocks of his thinking. His entire life motto is basically captured in this one metaphor. For him, the whole point of life is to always be going up, to constantly be climbing, just like the world's highest mountain. But how do you actually do that? Well, he breaks it down into two surprisingly simple steps. The first one, gone, which means to do. That makes total sense. You got to put in the work. But it's the second step, chue, or to boast. That's where his philosophy takes this really sharp, radical turn. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why isn't just doing good work enough? Why do you have to add boasting into the mix? Well, according to Zufeng, it's because boasting is the cure for a sickness he sees in all of us. He actually argues that he's not boasting because of a big ego. He says he's doing it as a direct response to what he calls a fundamental flaw in the way we behave as society. He even gives this flaw a name, the sickness of nature. Basically, he's saying we have this built-in natural bias in how we hand out praise, and it causes us to praise all the wrong people at all the wrong times. And the way he breaks this down is honestly kind of brilliant. Think about it. We have absolutely no problem praising historical figures, celebrities we'll never meet, or people who've passed away. But he points out that we get really weird and hesitant when it comes to praising our own friends, our family, our coworkers, the actual living people right in front of us. And he uses this folk saying that just nails the point. It pretty much means that if you sit around waiting for other people to give you your flowers, you're going to be waiting a very, very long time. The moment will just pass you by. So his solution is simple. Don't wait, praise yourself. And you've got to understand, this isn't just some personal quirk of his. As we're about to see, this idea is part of a much bigger philosophical stance. For Xu Feng, self-praise is literally an act of rebellion. He sees society as running on this kind of invisible software, a set of rules he calls Civilization 2.0, and he just openly declares that he refuses to play by those rules. So his boasting is really just a symptom of him rejecting the whole dang system. So, Civilization 2.0, that's his catchy term for the established order. All those unwritten rules about being humble, waiting your turn, and always looking for validation from other people. By choosing to boast, he is making a conscious, deliberate choice to just opt out. But look, you can't just declare war on something as fundamental as humility and not expect some consequences, right? What's so fascinating here is that Xu Feng is totally aware of the risks, and that's where this philosophy gets even more layered and interesting. He's completely clear-eyed about the trade-offs. On one side, he jokes that boasting is tax-free and hey, you don't have to wait for anyone's permission. But on the other side, he totally acknowledges he could become infamous for millennia, or even worse, that a true expert could come along and just publicly dismantle his entire argument. And this, to me, is such a fascinating admission. He says he doesn't really care about being hated long after he's gone. His real fear is that someone who genuinely knows their stuff will expose him as a fraud while he's still alive. It's this little flash of insecurity you see right underneath all the bravado, which leads to this wonderfully witty, almost self-deprecating plea. He basically asks any true masters or experts out there who can see the holes in his logic to, kindly keep it to themselves. He says it's not easy for a small figure like me to make a name for himself. So after weighing all the risks, admitting his biggest fears, and practically asking his critics to give him a break, he comes right back around, full circle, and says, all right, let's do this. He's ready to start his mission. So in the end, it leaves us with this huge question. Where is that line, really? Is Shuifeng's manifesto a powerful tool for self-worth in a world that's often way too slow to give credit where it's due? Or is it just a very elaborate philosophical excuse for plain old arrogance? It's definitely something to think about.